Welcome to this practitioners discussion session on the world's best safety media campaigns, where we're discussing safety promotion and awareness campaigns from around the world, as acknowledged through the International Safety Media Awards program. My name's Barbara Minuzzo, and I'm the coordinator for the International Safety Media Awards program. And we are pleased to also have the support of SafeCom PAC in providing technical assistance for today's discussion and recording. Joining me today is Roger Sweeney. Roger Sweeney is the Deputy CEO and Marketing Manager at Water Safety Ireland. Water Safety Ireland took home an International Safety Media Awards in the 2018 for their program. Welcome, Roger, and thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you very much, Barbara. It's a pleasure to be here.
Roger, to start off with, can you tell us about Water Safety Ireland? What does Water Safety Ireland do?
Yes, we're quite unique in Ireland, actually, Barbara, because not only are we an agency of the Government of Ireland, but we are also a registered charity and also a voluntary organisation with over 5,000 members nationwide. And many of these volunteer to train lifeguards, rescue boat crews, and of course they educate children and adults in their communities. We have a small country here in Ireland. Our population is less than 5 million. You can cross the country in 170 miles. You can travel at 300 miles in length, but we have a coastline of over 3,000 kilometers. And we have over 12,000 lakes, and we all live very close to water as a result.
Yes.
Drowning accounted for 40% of all combined road and water fatalities over the last 5 years. So for a small country, drowning is a significant public health issue in Ireland. So our focus at Water Safety Ireland is public awareness and education, because as we know, prevention campaigns lead to fewer rescues, and that leads to fewer casualties needing treatment. So we occupy the base of that triangle. That's our focus, marketing safety campaigns to the public to play a big part in our efforts to reduce drownings.
Right. Ireland sounds just fabulous. Let's turn now specifically to your winning safety media campaign for 2018. Could you please give us an overview? What was it all about and what did you do?
Yes, the campaign was in the ultra short video category. It was called Let's Bring Drownings Down, and it was part of a cross-platform campaign that extended beyond the video. The objective really was to encourage everybody to be more aware of the very real and often unseen dangers that water poses, and to make water safety part of the conversation at home or at work, at the breakfast table, or indeed when a child comes home from school with the parent.
Yes.
So we knew that we could encourage people to be more conscious about water safety if we could make this conversation happen. So in the build up to the campaign, we were really aiming at parents and guardians, because 30 children aged 14 and under had drowned in the 10 years previous, the equivalent of an entire classroom in an Irish classroom. So at the time, we wanted to understand why parents did not supervise properly, and why should it be that a child drowns when unsupervised. And to help us understand from the perspective of a parent, we commissioned a nationwide household survey, and we discovered some underlying factors that definitely impeded water safety being part of that conversation at home. For example, a third of parents considered swimming an unnecessary life skill, and nearly 60% of parents didn't feel confident in their water safety knowledge in order to pass it on. And so this parental complacency really challenged us to change perspective and change our approach. And we knew where and when children were drowning and how many, but now we knew something deeper. We knew that there were some underlying factors at play, and these seemed to be ingrained in Irish culture, and the challenge was how to target these factors.
Yes.
So the campaign had many activities across a number of platforms. There was a short online and TV video voiced by the Irish actor Liam Neeson for National Water Safety Awareness Week to highlight the importance of extra vigilance, especially in summertime. But it also ran in cinemas because Ireland has the highest cinema admissions in Europe, and cinema ads have the lowest ad avoidance rate. And Liam also gave his voice to a supporting radio campaign, because radio is a very effective medium, because the Irish have one of the highest daily listenerships in all of Europe. And in print and outdoor, we ran a water damaged photo of a lone child walking towards the water, but damaged by the water. And this resonated with parents and reminded them of the need for constant supervision. And then on digital and social channels, we ran a very heartfelt series of films where the general public, who were rescuers, not uniformed rescuers, but the general public, they told their stories to drive home just how quickly an unexpected scenario can unfold and how people can find themselves in difficulty. So after that, then we placed billboards near water, and we measured the reach and the frequency to make sure people were seeing them. The radio ads gave actual tips and advice instead of just warning people to be careful. We found that was far more effective if you actually gave tips instead of just warning people. And social posts had very real stories of people surviving near drownings and how easily it happened. And some beer mats then in bars all around the coast, they gave practical advice too, and some harrowing stats as well. And then we created a digital platform for children so that every child could learn online in the classroom. So we developed all this around National Water Safety Awareness Week promotional activity. And Liam Neeson's second video was launched as the winter storms and the wet weather began, and we saw the destructive power of the waters around us. And it's the perfect time really to shine a light on all those who lose their lives to drowning. And Liam had the perfect voice to do that, to light a candle in memory of people that had drowned. And that was a major part of the campaign as well, a reflection, if you like. In terms of the budget, we didn't pay exorbitant fees. Budget-wise, Liam was free of charge. He was very kind to do so. And being a national icon, he was easily leveraged as an ambassador for National Water Safety Awareness Week and for the other campaigns. Cinema had a captive audience as well, and we had a lot of cancellation discounts for that. And of course, having Liam on board meant that TV and radio stepped up in terms of community and social responsibility as well. I think personally we've had a legacy of trying to do too much with too little budget. So we made a strategic decision to do less and to do it smarter. So we had a very localized focus on areas where risk is greatest. The billboards called out local waterways, for example, by actually naming the waterways. The media that we ran was timed to have maximum impact. Radio ads were broadcast during the time that parents actually brought their children to school and collected them afterwards, so that they would hear this, and constantly repetition was an important part of that. And messaging was crafted really to cut through to the at-risk groups and prompt public debate, and that's hence why we used Liam Neeson to do that. But equally, there were a number of challenges with the budget, Barbara, and we identified three main challenges to overcome that were related to the budget. And our first challenge was that we needed a budget to create resources to support what the campaign was asking. Overall, to make water safety part of the people's conversation, we knew that we first needed to give water safety a strong platform. And this first challenge was overcome by creating government's 10-year National Drowning Prevention Strategy, in which we made child education the top pillar. And this prioritised the need to ensure that resources were in place for every school nationwide. And this resulted in a budget to do so, because by creating the National Drowning Prevention Strategy, we received ministerial sign-off, which opened a lot of channels in that regard. And our second challenge was to make sure that those resources were both relevant and engaging. So we brought children into, from every age group. We had 4 age groups. We brought them into focus groups, and they told us, the adults, the best way to create the resources and make them truly engaging. And so our technical experts they decided on the water safety messages for the 4 age groups, but then the children helped design the resources and how they were delivered. So the learning came through games and puzzles, and that reinforced the lessons that give every child all the basic knowledge that they need. But still, creating those videos and the resources like this, it was never going to be enough to get greater participation from schools and pupils and parents. So that led us to a third challenge, which was to get these schools and teachers and children and parents interested in getting involved. Yes. So to engage parents, we created all the outdoor and digital campaigns that I mentioned. And we used those to trigger the emotion, for example, of losing a child, as Liam Neeson's campaign was certainly a major part of that. So in terms of overall the campaign reaction, well, we had hundreds of thousands of views, and some videos of regular people saving lives really hit home, and they had higher views than some of our more famous ambassadors, shall we say. But a good reaction doesn't mean an effective impact. So we measured the impact by conducting a second national consumer survey, and those that found that people that had considered swimming an unnecessary life skill had changed their minds. So there was a turnaround and an improvement in people's attitudes. And so that led to a change in behaviors as well, in terms of increased engagement in the online training program. The number of lifeguard rescues came down. The number of times that a lifeguard had to intervene came down. The number of times that a lifeguard had to administer first aid due to risky behavior because somebody didn't know what to do, that came down. So there was greater engagement out on our coasts and at our lakes and rivers, as well as online. And of course, there were more inquiries for classes and advice too, more requests for our volunteers to visit schools or give water safety talks in businesses and communities. This was all pre-COVID, of course, so we'll have a lot of catching up to do after the pandemic passes. But overall, the current annual average drowning rate is about 120, and overall, in the last 10 years, since we started a series of campaigns that led to this one we're speaking about, we've had a 26% reduction in the number of drownings compared to the previous 40 years. And it's continuing to fall. And actually, in the year of this campaign, we had the lowest number of drownings for 80 years.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for all that, Roger. You covered lots of ground in terms of things to keep in mind when we're developing campaigns, from being super creative and having the different strategies for the children, having the children involved, to lots of different ideas there. So let's talk some more about Liam Neeson. I'm interested to know more about this. Obviously, he's a big name in Ireland and Hollywood celebrity also. How did you get him to be involved, and what was it like to be working with him?
Well, certainly, Barbara, I can tell you're a fan. But
yes, absolutely a fan. Yes, he's awesome. Yes.
Many more like you, and of course Liam is hugely respected here in Ireland, and more importantly though, in terms of asking Liam to get involved, he's respected by the at-risk group that we were targeting. 75% of drownings were male at the time, and alcohol is also a factor in 1/3 of drownings, and they're mostly male. So we were very lucky that Liam said yes, but particularly because of that, that parents, men, women, they like him. He's respected. And as I mentioned, he was very gracious at the time to give his voice, not only to our radio campaign and TV campaign, but also to a cinema campaign too. He was an ideal ambassador, really, to remind us all of how vital it is that we make water safety part of a bigger national conversation. And his voice doesn't preach to you. He resonates because he is sincere, and that comes across in his voice. So people didn't feel that they were being preached to, which can easily happen with safety campaigns. There's a risk of that you can sound preachy. But I think certainly with Liam, he wasn't. And we had our funny moments too when doing it. He's very sincere, but he also enjoys boxing, and it was quite funny to find myself
Yes.
comparing our reach and losing out to a significant fist that was very much outreaching mine at the time. So
Yes.
Liam has he may have a genuine sincerity about him, but he likes a bit of fun too, and
Yes.
he certainly has a genuine interest in caring for people, and he took great interest in the campaign and the strategies around it. And he went on to record a number of additional pieces that were broadcast at the end of the year, including the video with the candles that we spoke about, to light a candle for those who drowned, and
Yes.
and make sure to encourage people to make a resolution to keep their loved ones safe from drowning. So hugely respected by the group that we were targeting.
Mm. Yes. Yes. Thanks, Roger. So what's next for Water Safety Ireland? What are you working on at the moment?
Gosh, yeah. Well, COVID-19 has certainly influenced a lot of the campaigns in recent months, of course. And we've noticed that because of COVID, many more people are taking up open water swimming, for example. They're not
Yes.
traveling as much, so they're swimming more, and they're getting out there into the open water. And one short video that we created interviewing a open water swimmer and how he does so safely, that has garnered over 800,000 views at the moment, I think. So
Wow.
it demonstrates just how popular a pastime it is, and that people are curious about how to be safe when they're during COVID. And
Yes.
everyone, of course, is taking staycations at the moment, and that presents its own issues. So right now, shore angling is very popular in Ireland. Lots of people are buying rods and they're getting out there while they're staycationing and taking to our shoreline. So we have a lot of online work going on there, and social media. And people also started taking to kayaking and canoeing and boating in general for the first time. So a campaign about life jackets on our YouTube channel has already had over 500,000 views, and that's quite poignant and quite dramatic, but really hammers home the message of the importance of wearing a life jacket. And inflatable toys actually have been a serious issue of late in Ireland too. So we were very heavy on social media in terms of messaging that basically compared inflatable toys to floating killers, because we've had tragedies in Ireland, and people were becoming complacent and taking them to coastal areas where offshore breezes were taking people out of their depth and into danger. So that was very much a very important campaign of late. And of course, people are trying to socially distance at the moment, and as a result, over our summer months, they were avoiding lifeguarded waterways in order to socially distance. And of course, as a result, they were swimming in areas that they were not familiar with. So we ran a campaign interviewing a lifeguard, how he had just saved somebody, literally plucked this girl from drowning, reached down and caught her hand at the last moment. And that got thousands and thousands of hits, and a very, very important campaign. We called it Let Them Be There For You. We tried to encourage people to let the lifeguards be there for you during this time, you know. So, but also because of COVID, we're presently preparing for an online awards ceremony that will happen very soon, and that encourages or recognizes, I should say, people who have saved others from drowning. And Seiko, the watch manufacturers, they're the sponsors of a wristwatch that we call the Seiko Just in Time Award. And when they first came on board many years ago, I remember thinking, God, this is a great opportunity to turn reckless behavior into a marketing campaign or an opportunity by awarding the rescuers, by highlighting the unsafe behavior in the media, and very quickly by putting a watch on a wrist and getting the rescuer to talk, it really engaged the public, saying, gosh, that could happen to me or my child. And so that was very engaging. So that's preparing that as we speak, actually speaking to those rescuers and turning it into a virtual ceremony that will go out in November. And in 2021, we're moving the story on a bit, and we're going to concentrate not only on the children of Ireland, but we're going to focus on new individuals who will act as advocates in local communities to emphasize that drowning statistics are more than just numbers. We're
Yes.
adding to our primary school program, PAWS, Primary Aquatics Water Safety. We're adding to our Junior Aquatics Water Safety, our JAWS program for secondary schools, and we're bringing in a TOTS program for preschoolers, and that will be supported by preschool organisations in this country, and it'll be primarily driven by a parent of a drowned preschooler that I spoke to at length, and very sincere, and it'll be a significant campaign in the near future. But personally, I think one of my favorite projects was the development of the National Drowning Prevention Strategy, but currently aligning those objectives to that strategy, making sure that our objectives fit in with that strategy, but also that it fits in with the World Health Organization's strategy, now that we have a government-supported 10-year strategy to reduce drownings. And actually, just before COVID, I think in early March, I had the pleasure of contributing to a World Health Organization workshop in Belarus to reduce drownings in high burden countries in Europe, which is an ongoing project that emphasizes the importance of collaboration and sharing the campaign ideas. Sharing is caring, Barbara, as they say, and in the world of water safety, countries are very good at sharing through channels such as the World Health Organization and particularly the International Life Saving Federation.
Yes. Collaboration is definitely key, and that collaborative partnerships and that sharing of knowledge and learnings. You referred to the different YouTube videos that you have in your discussion, so we'll be sure to actually share some of those with our audience as links that people could visit, so that if they'd like to learn more about some of the ones that you referred to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roger. You've covered so much. To finish off with, would you like to share a key tip for practitioners that are undertaking safety media campaigns? I mean, you covered several key components of things to keep in mind. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to that as a key tip for practitioners?
I think certainly from my own experience, Barbara, I think the makeup of our communities is changing faster than our own parents or grandparents would ever have imagined. I know in the rural community in which I live and where I'm speaking to you from, in the west coast of Ireland, in an area called Connemara, within my very small rural village beside a lake, there are 7 different nationalities that I can immediately think of in my area. So I think about what it means to be a person other than you in the community that your campaign will target. Ask yourself, will some people feel excluded? Look at the different perspectives. Drowning risks can look very, very different depending on where you stand. And how can you actively help to include newcomers in a changing community? You know, have you engaged with that sector of the community to identify those opportunities? Being hyper local with the campaign is something that people could benefit from hugely. Just be hyper local with that campaign. Use a local ambassador. It's a very effective way to get a message across and resonate with the local population. You know, keep in mind, how can I make doing an unsafe act socially unacceptable? And who is my local ambassador who can keep that type of thing hyper local within your campaign?
Yes. Having those real champions from those communities, having, working with the community, for the community, and taking them along during the campaign, rather than us just talking to them, just having them with us as part of the journey of the campaign. Thank you so much, Roger. It's been great to hear more from you about the Water Safety Island, and we look forward to seeing more of your campaigns in the future. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You've
Thank you.
shared so much learnings with us. We really appreciate it very much.
It's a pleasure, Barbara, and thank you very much.
Yes. So before we finish off, just a reminder that due to the coronavirus pandemic, the Safety 2020 conference has been postponed until November 2022, with the virtual global event to take place in the meantime on the 22nd to the 26th of March 2021. The winners of the 2020 International Safety Media Awards will be announced at this March 2021 global event. So stay tuned for the information around this time. Thanks again for joining us for this discussion about some of the world's best safety media as recognised by the International Safety Media Awards program. To all our global safety colleagues, as always, we wish you success in improving safety outcomes for your community. Thank you.